tusalimiane. Tusisukumane. Alafu mu
business here, supported by Senior. Hello, how are you, my friend? Habari zenu? Very good. Unafanya biashara gani? Finance. Yes, finance.
These are my colleagues.
Students.
Yes. And we are here in Kansas City Bank. We have been together with them.
Okay.
Yes, the beneficiary of City Bank.
Very good. What do you do? Technology? I'm a farmer myself.
Yes. So give us a demo.
Okay, I'll work on it.
Yes.
Okay. Habari zenu? Salama kabisa. Yes. Okay. Habari zenu? Very good. Very good.
Let's move.
Hi, how is UBA? Very well. Very good. Yeah. Yes. Ready about it? Very good.
He's cooperating with engineering good.
Yes.
And we're helping him with payment solution.
Habari yako?
Gift facility.
Salama.
Unaunda
Zile pale. Oh, zile.
Very good. We are part of locally made.
Yes, because now.
Powered by UPS.
So you make from where is your workshop?
Employed about 50 years right now.
45.
Asante sana pia.
This you manufacture. Hello. How are you?
to achieve this, the bank is increase their awareness on ESG-related matters and, importantly, enhance their appreciation of their individual roles in driving this important agenda. The bank has also established a robust volunteering program, which has seen over 300 employees give about 1,200 man-hours in 14 citizenship initiatives across the country.
The power of collective knowledge and collaboration cannot be underestimated. And this event embodies our commitment to shaping the narrative in a way that fosters prosperity for all.
For DTB, sustainability is about doing business ethically and transparently to underwrite the bank's future. The bank is therefore committed to ensuring that it becomes a regional sustainability thought leader and practitioner by enacting high-impact programs with demonstrable outcomes that respond to real society.
Hello, how are you? Marizeno? Echo something. Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you, sir? Very good. Yes. Good morning. How are you? Yes. Hi. Grace. Mariako. Very boss. Very good.
Hallo. reflects on the program's impact.
Majina ni Rosemary Wawera Nyaga, mwenye hili nduka, naitwa Petima Enterprises. I do wholesale and I also do retail. I started with the Nuka program training 2020. Na till date sinaendelea na nimekuwa nikiattend pamoja na Equity Bank. Na simekuwa sikinisaidia. From Inuka, there was a program walikuwa nasema business management. It is how to do business professionally. Na ujue sasa hujasoma lakini umefind yourself in the business. They trained me how to do business, things to consider in business, how to do bookkeeping, how to do records, and how to search for more ideas on how to do business. Sinaweza sema simekuwa mzuri because lastly niliona walikuwa nafundisha mpaka mambo ya kilimo biashara. Na watu wengi wako mpaka kwa kilimo biashara, lakini hizo trainings wacha waanze na wale watu wako chini. Kuna watu wako chini sana lakini sijawaona kwa hizo trainings. Kuna mtu wako pale ule mnaitanga mama mboga. Mama mboga by the way ameinuka sana siku hizi. Kuna mtu wako pale kwa village ajui where to start. So hizo trainings mimi ningeomba nisiingie sasa kwa village. Cause ninafikiria siko sana kwa town.
We sincerely thank JICA for the funding support. We also wish to acknowledge the support from our member banks who extended more than 5 billion Kenyan shillings financing to viable businesses supported under the Inua SME program. Finally, we thank Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry and CARO Foundation for mobilizing the MSMEs supported under the program.
And next, Your Excellency, allow me to now call on the Governor Central Bank, Dr. Kamau Thuge, to make his remarks.
I got it, okay. His Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defense Forces, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable CPA John Bundy, the Cabinet Secretary, the National Treasury and Economic Planning, the Principal Secretary is present, Mr. John Gashora, the Chairman, Kenya Bankers Association, CEOs of commercial and microfinance banks present, and Mr. Raymond Molenje, the Acting CEO, Kenya Bankers Association. Your Excellency, I'm very pleased to join you at this launch of the KBA 2024 Inua Biashara MSME Exhibition, which is a key milestone for the banking sector. The MSMEs play an important role in the Kenyan economy through employment creation and support of livelihoods, as well as being a resource of resilience of our economy. I wish to thank His Excellency for prioritizing MSMEs as a key pillar of the government's bottom-up economic transformation agenda. The Central Bank of Kenya continues to work very closely with the banking sector in ensuring that MSMEs achieve their full potential in transforming the economy. The theme of the exhibition, Accelerating MSMEs Development for Sustainable Economic Growth, therefore aligns seamlessly with the CBK's mandate to promote a stable and inclusive financial system and supports economic growth and development, as well as jobs creation. Your Excellency, macroeconomic stability is essential for creating a conducive environment for MSMEs, as well as other businesses in the economy to thrive. Against a very challenging domestic and global economic environment in 2022 and also in 2023, the CBK successfully implemented policy measures and reforms that have contributed to the restoration of macroeconomic stability in the country. Specifically, the overall inflation has declined from a peak of 9.6% in October of 2022 to the lowest level in over a decade of 3.6% in September 2024. And this reflects the impact of tightening of monetary policy, improved weather conditions, and provision by the government of subsidized fertilizer, which has enhanced food production. The Kenya shilling, which was one of the worst performing currencies in 2023, has now appreciated by about 18% against the US dollar since the beginning of 2024, making it the best performing currency globally against major currencies. The shilling appreciation reflects improved foreign investor confidence in the economy, which has resulted in increased foreign investments in the country. In addition, exports, tourism earnings, and diaspora remittances have performed very well. The reforms in the foreign exchange market to enhance transparency have also been critical in encouraging foreign exchange inflows. The overall balance of payments is projected to record a surplus of 554 million, which together with disbursements from our development partners will result in a build-up of the CBK usable reserves to 8.6 billion by end December 2024, and this is equivalent to about 4.2 months of import cover. I just want to add that this 8.6 billion is, we have been able to build this reserve to 8.6, not because of borrowing, but because the exports and remittances have performed relatively well. The last time that the reserves of the central bank were almost at this level was in 2021, where we had reached 8.8. But it's important to note that during that year we had issued a Eurobond of 2.1 billion. So that build up to 8.8 was as a result of the issuance of a Eurobond. This year, although we issued a Eurobond, it was for liability management and did not go to building up our reserves. So in other words, this 8.6 billion is a significant achievement for the central bank. With the improved investor confidence and macroeconomic stability, the economy is expected to remain resilient in 2024, with real GDP growth projected at 5.1%, well above the projected global growth of 3.2%, and that of sub-Saharan Africa at 3.7%. And although agriculture and services sectors are resilient, we continue, Your Excellency, to see some challenges in the manufacturing sector, an area that I know you're very concerned about. But I think, Your Excellency, if we are to really bump up our growth to about the area of 7 to 8%, we really will need to address the manufacturing sector. This year, we expect manufacturing to grow by slightly less than 3% in real terms, Your Excellency. And this, again, will result in a reduction in the share of manufacturing in overall GDP and moving us in the direction that we don't want to go. The CBK is building on the prevailing macroeconomic stability to support the government's economic growth objective. This is reflected in the recent lowering of the central bank rate from 13% to 12% in the past 2 months. Following the lowering of the CBR, we have already seen a decline in the short-term interest rates for treasury bills, and we expect this reduction in the CBR to be transmitted to lower commercial banks' lending rates, which will facilitate growth in credit to the private sector. I would like to strongly urge the banks to lower their lending rates as soon as possible. This will be a win-win for both consumers, investors, as well as the banks, as it will stimulate economic growth by boosting credit to the private sector while at the same time addressing the rising non-performing loans of banks. With inflation declining steadily and expected to decline, and the CBK easing monetary policy, there is absolutely no reason not to have lower interest rates by the commercial banks. And Your Excellency, we have agreed with the commercial banks that we will be having a meeting just to brainstorm on how to ensure that with the lower inflation and the lower CBR, that they also extend lower interest rates to borrowers. Lastly, Your Excellency, based on the 2023 CBK survey on MSME access to bank credit, the total lending to MSMEs by Kenya's banking sector stood at shillings 750 billion, which is equivalent to 21.3% of the total banking sector loan book. There is therefore scope to do much more, as the survey estimated a demand of 1 trillion shillings from the MSME sector. Accordingly, my challenge to the banking sector is to leverage on innovations and advances in technology to design credit products that are attuned to the needs of MSMEs. On our part as CBK, in addition to ensuring that we achieve our constitutional mandate of price and financial sector stability, we will continue with the surveys and other diagnostic work on credit to MSMEs to inform review of the legal and regulatory framework as needed. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Next, Your Excellency, allow me to now invite the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning, Honorable John Badi, to make his remarks, and in turn invite His Excellency the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Tumpigie makofi akija tafadhali. Karibu Waziri.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and also the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Principal Secretaries present here, the Chairman, Kenya Bankers Association, Mr. John Kashora, CEO of the Commercial and Microfinance Banks present, Kenya Bankers Association, Acting CEO, Mr. Raymond Molenchi. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my pleasure, Your Excellency, to, in collaboration with Kenya Bankers Association, to host you in this event to discuss the future of our MSMEs in the country and by extension the anchors to our economic transformation agenda. The National Treasury remains committed to supporting initiatives that are pro-economic growth, which would ensure sustainability and job creation. The subject of tax compliance and payments and supporting MSMEs growth and transformation in the country are very critical at the moment. Your Excellency, first of all, allow me to appreciate the banking sector for the level of commitment that this sector has in ensuring compliance with statutory requirements, laws and regulations, and more importantly, tax payments. This is one sector where we have very little problems with collecting taxes. So as the National Treasury, we commend this sector for its commitment to remaining at the forefront in battling the challenges that affect our economy in partnership with the National Treasury. Remember, Your Excellency, that during COVID-19, when COVID-19 hit us, the banking sector, working together with the Central Bank of Kenya, moved fast to support businesses that were facing supply-side constraints due to disruptions in their trade and supply chains. The sector restructured more than half of its total private loans to ensure that customers remained afloat amidst the ravaging effects of the pandemic. Your Excellency, we gather here to celebrate the banking sector's contribution to our exchequer funding, contributing a total of over 190.26 billion in taxes in 2023, as the Chairman mentioned. The sector continues to alleviate funding challenges that the government faces in its efforts to deal with pressing expenditure requirements. Allow me to highlight one intervention that the National Treasury has implemented with the banking sector to support lending to MSMEs in the country, and that is the Kenya Credit Guarantee Company. Through intervention that was launched in 2020 And as an emergency measure, and with a seed capital of only 3 billion shillings, Your Excellency, which ring-fenced to provide guarantees to support businesses at the height of the devastating effects of COVID-19, and implemented through 7 banks, the banking sector has been able to extend loans amounting to slightly over 6 billion shillings distributed in all our 47 counties. Of noting, Your Excellency, is the fact that about 70% of the beneficiaries of these loans are MSMEs that would otherwise have not received loans due to perceived risks. Therefore, the National Treasury lauds your administration's commitment to supporting MSMEs growth and development as envisioned in bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And towards this end, the National Treasury has put in place measures to progressively start the payment of the government pending bills owed to businesses to enhance economic growth, which the chairman talked to. So there, Your Excellency, I would just mention something before I move, that, Your Excellency, a lot is happening in this country in terms of development. A lot is happening in the economy progressively. Kamau Thuge, the governor, has mentioned the fundamentals. He has mentioned low inflation rates at 3.6%, which is very low. He has mentioned about our reserves, very healthy. He has mentioned about our currency, very stable. Our economic growth at 5%, 5.2%, is above average in the sub-Saharan Africa and even globally. So now the problem, Your Excellency, that we must work on is liquidity challenges in the economy, which is largely caused by lack of paying pending bills. So that is why Treasury is committing to supporting especially the micro, small, and medium enterprises. The other one, the governor has talked about the interest rate. If we can sort out these two, I am very, very sure that this economy would completely take off. We are at the takeoff stage. And that is why I said today, if you read the papers, that there is light, that I'm seeing positivity. Let us not look back. Let us not be pessimistic. And the banking sector will help us here. As we take note of the fact that over 80% of jobs in Kenya are supported by MSMEs, we recognize that interventions aimed at revitalizing MSMEs would go a long way in tackling our long-standing unemployment problem among the youth of Kenya. In this regard, Your Excellency, we have a chance to collaborate with players in the private sector, such as the Kenya Bankers Association, to trigger stronger progress towards economic transformation that we so desire and are determined to achieve. As the line ministry, we are committed to supporting initiatives that bring together players through private-public partnerships that are more sustainable, affordable for all players, and ensuring harmony in the design of policy and guidelines of market conduct. I think we need to also be very clear as a country. There are some mega infrastructural developments that we cannot fund through exchequer. We must look for alternative financing, and therefore PPP, new as it is in this country, much as people don't understand it, we must make the citizens of Kenya understand PPP and understand that when we give out a project to be done through PPP, it is not selling. It is about concessioning that project to a private developer who works with us collaboratively to ensure that we have infrastructure that is competitive enough. Rwanda is developing has developed a serious airport. Ethiopia has an airport. Kenya cannot lag behind. We are losing our competitiveness as the hub in this region. And therefore, whether it is Adani or whoever it is, we must agree that someone must do our airport. And that communication must go out. And it is not just airport alone, major projects. Let us not shy away from engaging Kenyans. And Your Excellency, I know you will speak about more of these things. I want to stop because when your boss is around, you don't speak too much. Allow me, Your Excellency, at this juncture, to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, to come and address us and invite you to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Mbandi. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, my colleague Mbandi, Governor of Central Bank, the leadership and members of the banking fraternity present here today, and the MSMEs. Good morning. Your Excellency, I'll just pick up one or two things. First, I would like us to recollect that in this very building, KICC, earlier in the year, you led the world, in conjunction with the World Bank, in calling for the IDA 21 replenishment, and you pitched for the world to raise close to $120 billion to be targeted towards concessional financing. In the same building, you also led the same call, but for the African Development Bank, to replenish their 17th round, and you are pitching for about $25 billion. And the message when you were doing this was that we need to have an inclusive and agile financial system that targets those who are generally underserved, particularly if we have to grow. Therefore, this meeting here, I think, is very important, because as you call for that global approach, it is important that your home base, your own financial institutions, are also financially stable, agile, and inclusive, and pro-people in their models. The second thing I would just want to point out is that I want to pick up from where Mbandi did touch, that we have sound economic, macroeconomic policies, and the governor also alluded to this. And perhaps one of the quickest way to point out this is, how do you explain when global giants like JP Morgan are struggling to have a footing in Kenya? I think this is a stamp of approval of the financial and economic policies that are being pursued. Otherwise, they would not want to have a footing in this place. So that is testimony that we can achieve a lot if we work together. Finally, Your Excellency, I was in Kwale on your behalf, and this was to do with affordable housing, something that you have passionately pursued. And in the comments that were made there is that the projects that are ongoing now have generated subcontracts valued at 5 billion shillings for the medium and small enterprises. 5 billion contracts, subcontracts, whether they are doors, whether they are frames, and other aspects that are required for this affordable housing. So there is a great synergy that can be developed and that can be leveraged on if we can have the proper focus so that we move forward and uplift the people of Kenya. With these remarks, Your Excellency, it is now my honor to request the members to be upstanding so that we can usher you to the podium to make your remarks. Asante sana. A round of applause will do.
Thank you very much. Let's take our seats. Asante sana. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm Jambo. I am very proud and encouraged to join you as we discuss the future of our economic transformation and the vital role of medium, small, and micro enterprises in shaping our economic future. As you're all aware, among the 5 pillars of this administration, one of the 5 pillars is MSMEs. And it was deliberate and intentional that we identified the space around MSMEs as a critical sector for the transformation of our economy. We recognize and embrace and champion the critical contribution of MSMEs, notably because they create between 80 and 90% of jobs and also generate nearly 1/3 of gross domestic product. Without a doubt, under the right conditions, MSMEs have even greater potential to drive national economic transformation at an accelerated pace, creating jobs for our young people and improving the livelihoods of both urban and rural communities and enterprises. Listening to the lady who spoke to us in the presentation here, she spoke from those in the agricultural sector, largely in the rural areas, all the way to the marketplace. And in that ecosystem, we have MSMEs at every level, at the level of farmers, small-scale farmers who require credit, transporters, people working in that whole space. And it is the reason why, apart from our housing program, we are also building 400 new markets for our mama mbogas and all the people who are involved in that space, because that piece of infrastructure improves their business. The bottom-up economic transformation agenda outlines strategies and strategic interventions that the government will implement in collaboration with the private sector investments in creating an enabling environment across all sectors, particularly for MSMEs to unlock opportunities and achieve inclusive transformation. I am particularly encouraged by the thematic focus of this event because the empowerment of MSMEs is at the core of our plan, which is our vehicle to deliver equitable development and inclusive growth while engaging all citizens of our republic. I also take this opportunity to commend the banking industry, not only for its essential role in ensuring efficient functioning of our economy and maintaining the integrity of our financial sector, but also for leading by example in tax compliance. In 2023, the banking industry contributed 190 billion in taxes, reflecting both its performance and potential. And I must congratulate the banking industry for your contribution. Asanteni sana. These funds significantly support the government efforts to improve infrastructure, enhance public services, and promote robust economic activity. This event has fundamental positive implications for economic growth because banking institutions have demonstrated their commitment to expand lending to MSME sector through a variety of dedicated products and solutions that have been showcased here today. I went through the many booths and the many products that have been developed by different banks to address different sectors of our MSME ecosystem. And I want to say the array, the buffet, the number of different products demonstrate your commitment and the agility of our financial sector to provide tailor-made products for different sectors of our economy. And I want to encourage that as government, we will work with you to make it possible for you to be able to overcome whatever challenges that are there so that we can serve both the private sector market, but also more specifically the MSME sector in the banking industry. And as I make this commitment, we want to make it significant and impactful. According to the central bank, our banks provided Kenya shillings 783 billion in loans to MSMEs in 2023, which represents an increase of about 75 billion. As we launch the MSME Accelerated Program today, let us reflect and collaborate in advancing its stated aim of boosting small business capabilities through comprehensive assessments, advanced training, and tailored support from public and private sector partners, as well as development finance institutions. I know John, the chair of the Kenya Bankers, has said that we will shortly be graduating some of the clients some of the people in the Hustler Fund, about 2 million of them. I think next month we will be announcing their graduation now to the MSME sector. And it demonstrates the possibilities that exist. And it also gives you an indication. Hustler Fund is retailing at 8%. Many banks are today at 17, 18, 20, 20-something percent. I want to tell you that the experience we have seen with the Hustler Fund, and I think KCB and Family Bank can bear me witness, that it is still possible to do business even with single-digit interest rates. We just need to work together and find ways of making sure that we make it much more efficient, leverage more on technology, work more with KYCs. We have gathered a lot of information on borrowers, and we will be availing that information to the banking sector so that you can trace some of the people who will be graduating to you. We will give you their banking industry, their banking records. We will give you their borrowing history, and you can be able to make much more easier decisions on how much, when to lend to them. And again, we are prepared to share this information with you so that we can progressively develop more products that helps our MSME ecosystem. As we do this, I am confident that our banking sector's dedicated support program will facilitate MSMEs to develop scalable business models, strengthen financial management skills, and again, access to investors, markets, and formal credit. I commend the banking industry's pledge to double lending to MSMEs by providing 150 billion in new loans annually beginning next year. Accordingly, the government will support this bold and innovative move through policy and institutional banking, including measures to guarantee the prompt payment of all pending bills, which will commence once the ongoing verification process is completed. And John Buddy and the team at Treasury are seized of this matter. We have discussed at length on what needs to be done. We are developing alternative products on how to raise financing for us to deal with this challenge of pending bills so that we can enhance liquidity in the financial ecosystem and make sure that banks can lend more. Let me also take this opportunity to pay tribute and to congratulate the banks for working with us on the matter of exchange rate. I know that early this year we had a very robust engagement led by the central bank, and I must commend all the banks who came to the table and worked with us to make sure we deal with the challenge of interest rates. Because of that collaboration, today our exchange rate has stabilized at around 129. I must commend you because it had gone all the way to 165, 167. But because of coming together, working together, the industry looking at, yes, it's good to make money, but at what cost to the economy? And I must say to the banks, congratulations for being part of the solution in that space. But I want to give you another 2 assignments because you already did very well and passed with very high marks on the first one. Now it is another opportunity for us to work together around improving manufacturing. The lending to the manufacturing sector is not sufficient. Our manufacturing sector is not doing well, and it is weighing down our economy. And it is the reason why we had interventions that we had worked with you, and I am happy that, again, we now have a business bill that will go to the House that has all the thoughts and ideas and suggestions of industry on how we can provide a better environment for business to thrive. And this bill will contain many of the aspects that will support the industry. We've taken ideas from manufacturers, we've taken ideas from traders, we've taken ideas from investors, so that we can provide a better working environment, a better investment climate, and an enabling business ecosystem to support our manufacturing, trade, and investment. I want to encourage industry to work with the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry so that we can together, again, fashion a new space for business to thrive. I want to encourage the banking industry, the MSMEs, to work with us as we develop this new business bill that would help us do more, especially in the space around manufacturing. I remember last year, actually this year, having a conversation with somebody who is manufacturing in Kenya. And the biggest challenge they have is that we continue to import products that we can manufacture in Kenya. And we lose significantly because the raw materials that we would have used to manufacture locally are not used. The jobs we are supposed to create locally are lost. And so the opportunities to grow our own manufacturing capabilities and enterprises is also lost. So there is need for a determined, affirmative action to drive our industrialization. And part of that endeavor includes availing credit to our manufacturing sector. I must commend you because the banking sector in Kenya is the most profitable globally. But I also want to tell you that you can do even better by lending to more people at lower rates so that you enhance your, so that you use the economies of scale. You know, the more people you lend to, the bigger the pie we all bake. So I want to encourage you that that is the space we want to work with you around and to see how we can do this again together. I know you have mentioned something about KRA. I just want to promise you that our strategy is not to push for more taxes on the people who are already paying. Our strategy is for more people to pay little taxes so that we can reduce big taxes on the people who are already paying so much. That is the way that we want to go into the future. And we are overhauling the management and the business practice of Kenya Revenue Authority leveraging more on technology so that we can be able to do more and be able to ensure that we raise domestically, we mobilize domestic resources more and reduce on what we are borrowing. So lending is one assignment that I want to give you to our private sector. Lending to the private sector is at what percent, Tuge? I think we came down significantly. You know, the lending to the private sector only grew by 1.3%, which is really insignificant. We want that sector, the private sector, to do more. And I know what we need to do as a public sector to enable you to do that. So we will do our part. Please do yours. Let me also ask you, as the banking sector, another request. We already are signed in with a Pan-African payment system. The Pan-African payment system, Tuge tells me he convened a meeting with the banking industry, and I must commend you. Many people from the banking industry showed up. And the whole reason why we are doing this is we want to reduce our transactions cost, especially for products and trade that are transboundary. We spend about $5 billion as a continent in just, exchange rate issues. With the Pan-African payment system, we can sell our products and buy products from the continent in our local currencies. That way, we avoid losses as a result of exchange, of different currency exchange rates. So I want to encourage the banking industry to participate in that space, because Kenya has been identified as the place where we want to domicile the Pan-African payment system. But our drawback is that not as many banks are using that facility. I want to encourage, and I've told Gashora, the chairman of the Kenya Bankers, to encourage more banks to participate in that. It is good for you. It reduces your transactions cost. It reduces unnecessary exchange rate issues, and it helps us pay for products from different countries in local currency. That way, our traders don't have to run around trying to change money from one currency to another. Let me also request for one more thing. I hope I'm not making too many requests, because I have my banker here, and I don't want to get a letter that I am behind schedule in paying my affordable housing, as Musalia has said. We have 5 billion shilling worth of contracts that we have given to MSMEs. These are Juakali artisans. They are making doors, they are making windows, they are making hinges. And what we have done to make it much more professional, we have standardized all the windows. They can now manufacture in bulk. We have also standardized all the doors. They can also manufacture in bulk. But they keep telling me that you ask them too many questions when they come to look for credit. And oftentimes, we've had to step in and provide some guarantees. They have already a proven track record. I want to encourage the banks to look at these MSMEs in the housing ecosystem and see how you can support them. They have legitimate business contracts, and we want to see how we can work together. So this is what I envision as we work together in this space. You have my commitment that we will be disciplined as the public sector. We've taken some very difficult decisions to make sure that we stay the straight and narrow, It is the reason why we have built our reserves. It is the reason why we have invested in the right places to make sure that we bring down inflation. It is my target that next year inflation will be sub 3%. That is a target that we have. And as we bring down inflation and reduce the cost of living, as we stabilize the exchange rates and make sure that we are much more predictable, and as we now work together with you on making sure that we lower interest rates, because that is the trajectory globally, we should be able to be in better space. And you know what? I mean, the international financial system already recognized that our fundamentals are right. That is why there are inflows of investments into Kenya. That is why many investors are looking to Kenya as a place to invest. That's why our tourism is doing okay, our remittances are doing okay, because the fundamentals are right. We need to believe in ourselves more than currently we are doing. We need to be much more positive about our country. How come others believe in us more than we believe in ourselves? You know, that's the question we need to ask ourselves. How can people out there believe in us and believe in our country and believe in Kenya more than we as Kenyans believe in ourselves? I think that's a challenge that we have, and the banking sector can lead the way. Finally, I urge the National Treasury and the Ministry of Cooperative and MSME Development to align policies in order to provide sustainable framework for engaging with opportunities for transformation and addressing the challenges of MSMEs that they face in accessing credit. And I encourage them to work with you as the banking industry so that we can foster and broaden inclusion of stakeholders in the financial services sector and bring the MSMEs on board. I want to thank you very much for what you're doing, and you can take it from me that from the public sector, we will do what we must, and we will also leverage on technology to make sure that we don't lose the resources that you have raised for us to use in ensuring that we do what we must do as a country. Otherwise, asanteni sana. I wish you well as you continue this meeting. I am very happy with what the banking sector is doing, especially in contributing to our domestic mobilization of resources, and also what you're doing to support our MSME sector, the biggest sector we have in Kenya. Asanteni sana, and God bless you.
A round of applause for His Excellency. Thank you, Your Excellency. With your permission, I'll request that you kindly advance to come here, Your Excellency, and press the buzzer to have the launch of the accelerator program and the total tax contribution report. And let me ask His Excellency to be joined by His Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Governor CBK, the CS Treasury, the CEO CBK, and the PS MSME, Madam Susan Mangeni, to join and flank His Excellency as he presses the buzzer. It's going to be the official launch of the total accelerated program and the total tax contribution report. So I'll request that the gentleman will just flank His Excellency, and we'll have the video that is going to be the launch before we finish. So Your Excellency, at the count of 3, in 3, 2, 1. Let's trail our eyes to the video on the screens. And with that, we'll also request that we have the documents that will be presented to His Excellency by the chair to be presented. the Chair, KBA, to present the documents. Wonderful. Then just to have a photo opportunity. And with that, Your Excellency will now wind up with the national anthem. So I'll request that if there be anybody who's seated to kindly be upstanding as we finish with the Kenyan national anthem. The anthem.
Hello, I am Yasmina. Discover my new era of intelligence at GITEX.
This house was to allow my learned friend, Senior James Orengo, to represent the National Assembly in these proceedings. Mr. Speaker, sir, just recently, this house, which is a house of record, we bear us witness that during the impeachment of the county assembly attempted to appear by legal counsel represented by one Honorable Soro. An objection was raised by my learned friend, Senator Chargay, which objection was sustained by this House. Mr. Speaker, sir, our objection is further premised in the High Court decision, that is High Court Constitutional Petition 204 of 2019, where Justice Ogola barred His Excellency the Governor of Siaya County from representing the then Director General of Kenya Port Authority, one Daniel Maduk. The judgment is before this honorable House that a person who is engaged in full cannot then purport to appear and represent a party before this assembly. It will raise serious conflict of interests. The same will prejudice our client, and it's also in violation of clear provisions of the law as cited. In that respect, Mr. Speaker, sir, we invite you to uphold our objection before the charges are read out to the to our client. Mr. Speaker, sir, in this ruling that I've just cited, The court was of the view that a person who is engaged in full-time engagement as a state officer cannot and is barred from representing a party in a private capacity. We so beseech you, Mr. Speaker, sir, to uphold our objection. I am most humbled.
Counsel for the National Assembly, if you look at our program, the preliminary objections were to be raised after His Excellency has taken plea. And therefore, we'll allow the clerk to read the charges. Before anything else, I will allow the Counsel for the National Assembly to respond, and thereafter I will make my ruling, and then we'll take it from there.
I am most obliged, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Proposed removal from office by impeachment of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Particulars of the allegations. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, please take the stand. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, EGH, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, the grounds for your proposed removal from office by impeachment, as received by the Senate from the National Assembly, are as follows. Part A, gross violation of the Constitution or any other law pursuant to Article 51(b)(1) of the Constitution. Ground 1, gross violation of Articles 10, 2A, B, and C, 27(4), 73(1)A and 2B, 75(1)C, and 129(2) of the Constitution, and Articles 147(1), as read with Article 131(2)C and D of the Constitution. The preamble of the Constitution provides, among other things, that the people of Kenya adopted and enacted it, A, being proud of the ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, and a determination to live in peace and unity as one indivisible sovereign nation, and B, recognizing the aspirations of all Kenyans for a government based on the essential values of human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and the rule of law. The preamble of the Constitution is supplemented by Article 10, 2A, B, and C of the Constitution, which establishes the core national values and principles of governance that bind all state officers, including the Deputy President. These values and principles include patriotism, human dignity, national unity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, non-discrimination, equality, human rights, protection of the marginalized, democracy, and good governance. Moreover, Articles 73(1)A and 2B of the Constitution establish responsibilities of leadership. They provide that the authority assigned to a state officer, such as the Deputy President, is a public trust to be exercised in a manner that is consistent with the purpose and objects of the Constitution, demonstrates respect for the people, brings honor to the nation and dignity to the office, and promotes public confidence in the integrity of the office. Also, Article 27(4) of the Constitution prohibits all forms of discrimination, including discrimination based on ethnic or social origin, conscience, belief, language, and birth. Further, Article 73(2)B of the Constitution provides that decision-making should be objective and impartial and should not be influenced by favoritism and improper motives. Furthermore, Article 75(1)(c) of the Constitution provides that a state officer should behave, whether in public and official life, in private life, or in association with other persons, in a manner that avoids demeaning the office he holds. Therefore,
Volkswagen. If I could give you anything,
I would give you curiosity, imagination, kindness,
love
forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And that's kind of Barbie's whole thing. You can be anything.
And affording equal opportunities to all Kenyans in appointments to the public service and allocation of public resources. And C, to make, promote and implement public policy decisions that do not discriminate against any Kenyan based on conscience, ethnic or social origin, language or birth. However, on diverse dates throughout the last 2 years, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has persistently made utterances threatening to discriminate, exclude and unlawfully deny sections of the people of Kenya and regions of the Republic of Kenya equal opportunities for public service appointments and allocation of public resources. Besides, the utterances are highly inflammatory and insightful and significantly undermine national unity and the peaceful coexistence of Kenya's diverse communities. To illustrate, sometime in 2023, at a public forum in Kajiado County, within the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua made highly inflammatory and insightful public pronouncements to the effect that the government of Kenya is a company and that the allocation of government development projects and public sector jobs are based on shares determined by how the populace of the various ethnic communities voted in the 2022 general election. Specifically, he stated as follows, quote, "A government is like a company. There is shareholding. Kuna wale who have invested a lot of shares, kuna wale wamekataa wa Kenya. So ndio tukasema kama wewe umeenda kupanda mahindi, ama wacha nipeane example ya ng'ombe kwa sababu niko Kajiado. Wewe uko na ng'ombe yako ya maziwa, ng'ombe imezaliwa ikiwa njao, umeichunga vizuri, umepatia majani, umenunulia dairy meal, umepatia chumvi, umepeleka kwa malisho, umepatia maji, imezaa, imeanza. Wewe unatakiwa kwanza ukue mtu ya kwanza kukamua hiyo ng'ombe na kunywa maziwa." End of quote. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua emphasized the divisive and insightful narrative embodied in the above utterances as follows, quote, "Haiwezekani mtu ambaye alikuwa anakupigia kelele ukichunga hii ng'ombe na kusema hii ng'ombe ni ile ya kienyeji, hakuna haja ya kushughulika naye. Hii ng'ombe ni bure, haiwezi kutoa maziwa. Hii ng'ombe hata ikipona jicho moja, wachana nayo, unapoteza wakati. Saa ile ng'ombe imezaa, imetoa maziwa, amekuja na kikombe, amekuja na sufuria, anataka atolewe maziwa. Mimi nikasema hiyo haiwezekani. Nikasema yule mwenye hii ng'ombe na kuichunga na kuitunza, kwanza akamue maziwa, yeye na watoto wake wakunywe, ile itabaki aitie majirani. Hata yule alikuwa anapiga kelele akisema hii ng'ombe ni bure na haiwezekani Kama kunayo imebaki, pia apewe. Kama hakuna imebaki, atembee. Si namna hiyo? End of quote. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua made similar remarks at another public forum as follows. Quote, "A government is like a company. I did not say it is a company. I said it is like a company. In every company, there are shares, preferential shares and ordinary shares. When there is an AGM, non-shareholders do not vote or attend the AGM. When there are dividends to be divided, they are divided according to the number of shares. That is the truth." End of quote. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua continued the insightful and divisive utterances at yet another forum where he stated as follows, quote, "Si lazima tungeangalia nyinyi. Sisi lazima tungeangalia nyinyi. Hii serikali ni kampuni na ni ya shares. Si ndio? Ni ya shares. Kuna wenye kampuni, wale wako na shares mingi, wale wako na chache. Kuna wale hawana. Sasa nyinyi mliinvest kwa hii kampuni ya William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Sasa lazima mvune. Yule ambaye alipanda atafanya nini? Simulipanda. Simuliamka mapema." End of quote. At another forum in Nandi County, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua continued the same divisive and insightful narrative as follows. Quote, "Raisa ako pale niko hapo. Raisa ako pale niko hapo. Huyu Felix ako hapo. Mimi mnanijua msimamo wangu ya kwamba watoto wakiwa wengi kuna wale kwanza ya kuangaliwa. Si mnajua? Sasa huyu Felix ako pale ndiye kuunganisha mawaya. Mambo yenu tumepanga. Mambo iko sawa. Chakula iko jikoni, karibu kuiva. Chakula ni kidogo. Iko watoto ya nyumbani, iko namna hiyo. Na nyinyi mtulie. Chakula ikiiva, sisi ndio wenye kupakua. Na watoto tunawajua kwa sura na kwa msimamo. Hatuwezi kuwa confused. Kuna mtu hajui watoto wake? Na wiki inakuja tutatangaza ile tutachukua na ile maneno tumepanga." End of quote. In addition, in September 2024, during a public rally in Nairobi, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua made public utterances that incited other communities against the ethnic communities that live around the Mount Kenya region by stating as follows, quote, "Na mimi mkaniambia nimsaidie rais kwa kazi. Lakini nikiwa hapo kwa serikali, nikuwe pia nikichunga mambo ya watu wa mlima. Niendelee kuchunga mambo ya mlima ama nisichunge?" Sasa hiyo kuchunga mambo ya mlima inaniletea matatizo. Ati naambiwa mimi ni mkabila. Mimi ni mkabila. Nikichunga mambo ya watu wa mlima, iko makosa. Iko makosa. End of quote. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's utterances throughout the past 2 years undermined the promotion of national unity in the context of Kenyan society's multi-ethnic demography.
Clerk, just pause for a bit. Honorable Senators, just put your phones on silence. Please, proceed, Clerk.
Repeat. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's utterances throughout the past 2 years undermined the promotion of national unity in the context of Kenyan society's multi-ethnic demography and multicultural diversity. In addition, they have the potential to alienate, isolate, and create disharmony among the various. In summary, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's above-mentioned utterances over the last 2 years are impeachable offences to the extent that they grossly violate Articles 10, 2A, B, and C, 27.4, 73.1A and 2B, 75.1C, and 129.2 of the Constitution, and Article 147.1 as read with Article 131, 2C and D of the Constitution. Specifically, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagwa's divisive and insightful public utterances over the last 2 years, A, are incompatible with the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of B, can stir ethnic hate, ethnic Balkan Kenya, falsely alluded to an non-existent government policy to discriminate and marginalize the populace of the regions and the current administration in the 2022 general elections. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to ground 1, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Ground 2, gross violation of Articles 147.1 and 152.1 of the Constitution. Article 147.1 of the Constitution provides that the Deputy President shall be the principal assistant of the President and shall deputize for the President in the execution of the President's functions. In addition, Article 152.1 of the Constitution states that the Deputy President is a member of the Cabinet. On various dates throughout the last 2 years, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua undermined the President and the Cabinet and the effective discharge of the national government's executive mandate by making unilateral public statements that were inconsistent with policy positions collectively adopted by the government. To illustrate, A, on or around 30th April 2024, the Cabinet passed a resolution for the evacuation of people residing along the Nairobi River. B, shortly after that, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua made a public statement opposing the Nairobi River riparian evacuation orders, which the Cabinet had sanctioned for public safety and climate change mitigation. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua made contradictory public statements despite being a member of the Cabinet and being assigned the function of superintending the Nairobi River riparian evacuation order. In addition, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has on several occasions throughout the last 2 years made public statements contradicting the President on critical matters of governance and the exercise of the President's functions as a symbol of national unity. To illustrate, in March 2023, at a public forum in the Nyanza region, the President said Kenya belongs to all, notwithstanding how people voted in the 2022 general elections, and that he would ensure the government does not discriminate against anyone. However, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, speaking after the President at another public forum, contradicted him by saying that Kenya is a company in which the provision of government services is based on shares. B, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has made numerous other utterances at public forums where he publicly restates the divisive narrative that Kenya is a company in which the rights of citizens are based on shares determined by how various ethnic communities voted in the 2022 general elections. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's unilateral, divisive, and insightful public statements are impeachable offenses to the extent that A, they undermine the effective discharge of the national government's executive mandate, B, they violate the doctrine of collective responsibility, C, they are equivalent to insubordination of the President, which is incompatible with his constitutional status as the principal assistant to the President of the Republic of Kenya. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to ground 2, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Ground 3, gross violation of Articles 6.2, 10.2a, 174, 186.1, 189.1, and the 4th schedule to the Constitution, that is, undermining devolution. Article 10(2)(a) of the Constitution provides that devolution is a fundamental national value and principle of government. Article 6(2) of the Constitution provides that governments at the county and national levels are distinct and interdependent and shall conduct their mutual relations and cooperation. These provisions are supplemented by Article 189(1) of the Constitution, which provides that governments at each level shall perform and exercise their powers in a manner that respects the functional and institutional integrity at the other level. Under paragraph 7A of Part 2 of the 4th Schedule to the Constitution, county governments are responsible for trade development and markets as an exclusive function. Moreover, the Deputy President chairs the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council, an essential organ for consultation between the two levels of government. On or around 20th September 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, recklessly, unmindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic, unlawfully interfered with the running of Nairobi City County Government by holding a public rally in which he incited citizens against lawful directives of the Nairobi City County Government on the planning and relocation of markets. Further, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua publicly disparaged the leadership of the Nairobi City County Government and its decisions. Moreover, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has interfered with the proper discharge of county government's constitutional functions regarding alcohol control and regulation. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's insightful and demeaning public statements and conduct are impeachable offenses to the extent that A, they undermine devolution, B, they undercut the functional and institutional integrity of county governments, C, they unjustifiably vilify and ridicule the leadership of county governments, especially the Nairobi City County Government. Consequently, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has grossly violated Article 6(2).
Clerk, just a minute. I realize what you're reading is fairly long. His Excellency the Deputy President, if you may will, you may sit, and when taking the plea, you may stand.
No, Mr. Speaker, let me stand.
You may proceed, Clerk.
I repeat, consequently, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has grossly violated Articles 6(2), 10(2)(a), 174, 186(1), and 189(1) of the Constitution, as read with the 4th Schedule to the Constitution. Rigathi Gachagua, ground 3, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Ground 4, gross violation of one of is undermining the institutional and decisional independence of judges. Article of the Constitution provides that the judiciary shall be subject only to this Constitution and the law, and shall not be subject to the control or direction of any person or authority. Many international law instruments, treaties, and principles require the guarantee of the judiciary and require an institution. In 2023, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, unmindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya and the need to respect, protect, and uphold the independence of the judiciary, made a scathing public attack against the Honorable Lady Justice Esther Maina, Judge of the High Court of Kenya, and falsely threatened to file a petition for the removal of the said judge in gross violation of Article 165 of the Constitution. The Honorable Judge had presided over a case in which His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua was a party and had, in the lawful performance of her judicial function, ordered His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua to forfeit to the state the sum of Kenya shillings 200 million, which she had found to be proceeds of corruption and money laundering. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's public attacks against the judge are impeachable offenses to the extent that they undermine the functional and decisional independence of judges. Your Excellency, Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to ground 4, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Ground 5, gross violation of Articles 3.1 and 148.5a of the Constitution, that is breach of the oaths of office and allegiance. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's actions and utterances outlined in grounds 1, 2, 3, and 4 constitute a gross violation of Article 3.1 of the Constitution, which requires every person to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. Further, the actions and utterances of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua grossly violate Article 148.5a of the Constitution, which prescribes the oath of allegiance of the office of the Deputy President, that obligates the Deputy President to obey, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and all other laws. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to ground 5, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Part B, serious reasons to believe that the Deputy President has committed a crime under national law pursuant to Article 151b(2) of the Constitution. Ground 6, serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Sections 13(1)(a) and 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act. Section 13 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act provides that it is an offense for any person to use threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior where the person intends to stir up feelings of ethnic contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination. The section also makes it an offense to use such words or engage in such behavior when, having regard to all the circumstances, ethnic hatred is likely to be stirred up. Besides, Section 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act states that a person commits an offense when the person makes statements that are intended or are likely to stir up feelings of ethnic contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua's persistent, inflammatory, reckless, insightful public utterances over the last 2 years, the details of which are set out in grounds 1, 2, 3, and 4, establish serious reasons to believe that he has committed crimes under Section 13(1) and 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to ground 6, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Ground 7, serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Sections 45(1), 46, 47(a), 3, and 48(1) of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, and Sections 2, 3, 4, and 7 of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act. For the past 2 years, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has inexplicably amassed a humongous property portfolio estimated at Kenya shillings 5.2 billion, primarily from proceeds of corruption and money laundering. The value of the property and wealth that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has acquired over the last 2 years is incompatible with his non-legitimate income, that is Kenya shillings 12 million per annum or thereabouts. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has acquired the above-mentioned property and wealth using his 2 sons, Kevin Rigathi Gachagua, that is Kevin Gachagua, and Keith Ikinu Rigathi, that is Keith Ikinu, and other close family members and associates as proxies. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua and his proxies, especially the 2 sons, have used the following companies to massively launder money, conceal proceeds of crime, corruption, and benefit from influence peddling. Number 1, Spiritway Limited, PVT-Y2ULDMKY, date of incorporation 14th of September 2023, Shareholders, Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi, who is director, stroke shareholder, stroke beneficial owner with 100 shares. 2, Fortis Biz Group Limited, PVT-MKUMAKEE, date of incorporation 14th of February 2023. Shareholders, Kevin Rigathi Gachagua with 50 shares and Keith Ikinu Rigathi 50 shares. 3, Grand Bypass Apartments Limited, PVT-5JUZEKL8, date of incorporation 11th of January 2024. Shareholders, Rigathi Gachagua, Director, John Mwai Madenge of 7676931 as Director, Peter Njoroge Regeru, number 4686103, Director, Vipingo Beach Resort Limited, number C159289, shareholder with 1 share. 4, Kuruwitu Properties Limited, PVT-EYUBKG83, date of incorporation 26th of April 2023. Shareholders, Vipingo Beach Resort Limited, number C159289, as shareholder with 1,000 shares, and John Mwai Madenge. Number 5, the Anansi Collective, BN-JRCG76AG, date of incorporation 29th of March 2021. Shareholders, Keith Ikinu Rigathi. 6, Biovet Kenya Limited, number CPR/2009/4880, date of incorporation 10th of June 2009. Shareholders, Rigathi Gachagua 200 shares, Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi 200 shares. 7, Calvary Creed International Limited, number CPR/2015/186-154, date of incorporation 16th of April 2015. Shareholders, Rigathi Gachagua with 50 shares, Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi 950 shares. 8, Cosmia Venture Limited, number PVT-Q7ULE6Z, date of incorporation 26th of February 2018. Shareholders, Herman Zoita Maina 200 shares, James Mwangi Kagodho 50 shares, Kevin Rigathi Gachagua 250 shares, Keith Ikinu Rigathi 50 shares, Irene Nyanjao Washira 250 shares, and David Kipkemboi Mudhamia 200 shares. Number 9, Cristo Kenya Limited, number CPR/2009/4898, date of incorporation 12th of June 2009. Shareholders, Kevin Rigathi Gachagua 200 shares, Keith Ikinu Rigathi 200 shares. 10, Delta Merchants Limited, number CPR/2009/4874, date of incorporation 9th of June 2009. Shareholders, Rigathi Gachagua 200 shares, Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi 200 shares. 11, Vipingo Beach Resort Limited, number C159289, date of incorporation 5th of August 2008. Shareholders, Kevin Rigathi Gachagua as director, Keith Ikinu Rigathi, director, estate of the deceased James Nderito Gachagua, shareholder with 10,000 shares. 12, Rigathi Gachagua Foundation, number CLG-XXFXRG, date of incorporation 11th of November 2022. Shareholders, Rigathi Gachagua. 13, Dorcas Rigathi Foundation, number CLG-G9 FV2G, date of incorporation 19th of October 2022, shareholders Kevin Rigathi Gachagua, Keith Ikino Rigathi, Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi, Nancy Wamboi Kang'ethe. 14, Heartland Supplies Limited.
The new KFC loaded twister at this epic price. You're welcome.
Date of incorporation 11th of June 2009. Shareholders Rigathi Gachagua, director, stock shareholder with 200 shares. Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi as director and shareholder with 200 shares. 15, Karandi Farm Limited, number C94303, date of incorporation 25th of June 2001. Shareholders Rigathi Gachagua as director, shareholder with 700 shares. Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi as director and shareholder with 100 shares. 16, Morani Manufacturers Limited, number PVT-8LU7Q8GD, date of incorporation 13th of October 2021. Shareholders Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi as director and shareholder, 200 shares. Keith Ikino Rigathi, director and shareholder, 200 shares. Joshua Karianjahi Waiganjo, director, shareholder, 600 shares. And Grace Washuka Mwangi, beneficial owner. 17, Mothers of the Land Limited, number CLG-55FD3B, date of incorporation 1st of December 2021. Shareholders Louisa Njeri Wanjiro, director stroke member. Caroline Jepkemboi Waiyaki, director stroke member. Lucy Njogoine Mutegi, director stroke member. Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi, director stroke member. 18, Pioneer Medical Kenya Limited, number CPR stroke 2009 stroke 4910, date of incorporation 9th of June 2009. Shareholders Rigathi Gachagua as director stroke shareholder, 200 shares. Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi, director and shareholder, 200 shares. 19, Ryder Furniture Mart Limited, number C141876, date of incorporation 18th of July 2007. Shareholders Rigathi Gachagua as director and shareholder, 500 shares. Dorcas Wanjiko Rigathi as director and shareholder, 500 shares. 20, Royal Crimson Ventures Limited, number PVT-LRU2QZL, date of incorporation 26th of February 2018. Shareholders Kevin Rigathi Gachagua as director and shareholder with 400 shares. Keith Ikino Rigathi as director and shareholder, 400 shares. And Peter Kangagi Githaiga as director and shareholder, 200 shares. 21, Technical Supplies and Services Limited, Kenya Limited, date of incorporation 6th of June 2009. Shareholders Rigathi Gachagua as director stroke shareholder with 400 shares. Sorry, I said that again. 21, Technical Supplies and Services Kenya Limited, CPR 2009/4895. Date of incorporation is 6th of June 2009. Shareholders are Rigathi Gachagua, director, stroke shareholder with 400 shares, and Francis Moshiri Wanguo, director. And 22, Wamunyoro Investments Limited, number C93670, date of incorporation 23rd of April 2001. Shareholders Kevin Rigathi Gachagua was director stroke shareholder with 1 share, and Keith Ikinu Rigathi, director stroke shareholder with 1 share. To illustrate, in November 2023, Cristo Kenya Limited, number 9 in the above table, a proxy company of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, purchased Outspan Hotel, situated at Nyeri Municipality Block Stroke 1 Stroke 1669 from Aberdare Safari Hotels for Kenya shillings 535 million. The directors of Cristo Kenya Limited are the sons of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, namely Kevin Gachagua and Keith Ikinu. Sometime in August 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua publicly admitted that his family had acquired this property. B. In November 2023, Kevin Gachagua and Keith Ikinu, the proxies of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, acquired Treetops Lodge, a high-end hotel situated in Nyeri County. Sometime in August 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua publicly admitted that his family had acquired this property. C. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua and his proxies also acquired Olive Gardens Hotel and Queensgate Serviced Apartments in Nairobi. D. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua acquired Vipingo Beach Resort in Kilifi County. E. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua acquired a parcel of land known as Rogoro stroke Kiamariga stroke 1223 in Madera East constituency, where he constructed a helicopter landing facility. F. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua acquired approximately 40 acres of land in Kakuret in Kamburaine in Nyeri County. G. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua acquired 80 acres of land in Meru County. H. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua acquired a dairy farm in Nyandarua County. I. Additionally, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua used his office of Deputy President to influence and connive with unscrupulous Ministry of Lands officials to issue an allotment letter to Amunyoro Investments Limited, a company that he owns, to acquire LR 209 stroke 12077 and LR 90923, situated at Embakasi in Nairobi, whose value is estimated at Kenya shillings 1.5 billion or thereabouts. After that, this company used the fraudulently acquired documents to support a court case at the expense of the legitimate owner of the property. J. Moreover, companies associated with His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua and his proxies were involved in the KEMSA Kenya shillings 3.7 billion irregular procurement of malaria nets that put the lives of millions of Kenyans at risk. K. In addition, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has used the office of Deputy President to corruptly influence unnecessary and expensive renovation of his official residence in Karen and Mombasa, running into millions of shillings. In essence, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has chosen personal comfort, extreme luxury, and pomposity at the expense of service delivery to the people of Kenya. L. Images of some of the properties that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has acquired from proceeds of corruption, influence peddling, and money laundering have been provided and relate to the following. 1. Treetops Hotel, located in Nyeri. 2. Outspan Hotel, located in Aberdare Ranges. 3. Olive Gardens Hotel, Agwings Kodek Road. And 4. Vipingo Beach Resort. Additionally, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has the following proxy companies to trade with the office he holds. A. Agrobrick Investments Limited. It is a private limited company incorporated in Kenya on 28th May 2017 under certificate number PVT-RXUP6E. The company deals in building and construction. The company's directors / shareholders are A. Rudani Mayur Kumar Mahendrabai, and B. Patel Ankit Kumar Hasmukbai, an Kenyan national. 48. The company operates a bank account, number withheld for data protection reasons, at Sidian Bank, opened on 19th February 2022, with the company directors as the account signatories. On 18th October 2022, Bhavika Nathalal Hirani was added as an account signatory and given the full mandate to operate the account. Bhavika Nathalal Hirani is a proxy of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. On 23rd January 2023, the company account received a transfer of Kenya shillings 47,015,367 shillings and 75 cents from the Executive Office of the Deputy President. The payment was supported by A. Notification of award letter, reference number ODP /ADM ADM.1/57 VO.4/70 dated 16th December 2022 from the Office of the Deputy President to Agrobrick Investment Limited for the proposed refurbishment of Deputy President's official residence at Karen at a cost of Kenya shillings 55,559,520. B. Payment voucher of Kenya shillings 55,133,265.92 was received on 10th January 2023 as the first interim payment in respect of the contract ODP-RT-001, ODP-RT-001/2022-2023. C. An agreement letter dated 22nd December 2022 between Office of Deputy President and Agrobrick Investment Limited for the proposed renovation of Deputy President's official residence in Karen. Bhavika Nathalal Hirani signed the document as a director of Agrobrick Investment Limited. On 23rd January 2023, the funds were suspiciously transferred through a transfer of Kenya shillings 45 million to a related entity, that is Vaggiani Enterprises Limited. Shockingly, the account had been dormant for around 9 months before it received the payment from the Office of the Deputy President, adding to the reasonable suspicion that it was a special purpose vehicle to siphon funds for His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. B. Lusona Events Limited. This is an events management company that was registered on 30th of October 2012 under certificate number CPR/2012/87037. The company directors are A. Esther Wanjiro Njenga and B. Cecilia Mudhoni Njenga. The company operates 2 accounts at the SBM Bank, which it opened in 2015. The company's directors are account signatories. Ian Njuguna Gitata was also introduced as an account signatory and is the sole account operator, pointing to the likelihood that he is the beneficial owner. Between 1st January 2024 and 11th July 2024, the account at SBM Bank received a total of 100 million shillings, 262,821.43 cents from the Office of the Deputy President, characterized by the receipt of multiple transfers. On 2nd of July 2024, the Deputy President's Office paid Lusona Events Limited part of the above-mentioned proceeds of corruption and money laundering in 8 transactions in a single day as follows. On 2nd of July, 2024, the amount of 2,946,900. Secondly, on 2nd of July 2024, the amount of 4,806,639 shillings. Thirdly, on 2nd of July 2024, the amount of 4,679,130 shillings. Fourthly, on 2nd of July 2024, the amount of 2,955,450 shillings. Fifth, on 2nd of July 2024, the amount of 3,374,400 shillings. Sixthly, on 2nd of July 2024, the amount of 5,451,912 shillings and 40 cents. Number 7, on 2nd of July 2024, the amount of 3,582,536 shillings and 50 cents. And number 8, on 2nd of July 2024, the amount of 3,840,625 shillings and 60 cents. A substantial portion of the Kenya shillings 100,262,821 and 43 cents was used for luxurious largesse and unnecessary expenditure for carpets, etc., laid down for the Deputy President's functions. Some of the funds were utilized as follows. A. Ian Gitata made Kenya shillings 22,800,000 in cash withdrawals. Some of the withdrawals were declared as cash to pay undisclosed beneficiaries. It was suspicious why they preferred cash payments as opposed to bank transfers. B. Kenya shillings 4 million transferred to a law firm. C. Kenya shillings 26,993,350 investment in fixed term deposits as follows. 1. On 27th of May 2024, Kenya shillings 9,993,350. 2. On 11th July 2024, Kenya shillings 17 million. The utilization of funds was reasonably believed to be an act of corruption and money laundering, as most of the money was withdrawn in cash rather than bank transfers, which is a custom for huge payments. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua is reasonably suspected to be the principal beneficiary of these dubious transactions. C. St. Nicholas Rehabilitation and Industrial Training Institute Limited. The company was incorporated on 8th of April 2021 under registration number PVT-AAACMO4. It deals with student rehabilitation and industrial training, trading as St. Nicholas Rehabilitation Center and Psychiatric Hospital. The sole company director is Nicholas Mugambi Maingi. The company operates an account at Equity Bank, opened on 18th August 2017, with the company director as the sole account signatory. Between 1st March 2024 and 5th June 2024, the account received a total of Kenya shillings 21,060,000 from the office of the Deputy President. The funds were suspiciously utilized as follows. A. Kenya shillings 2 million was allegedly used to purchase a white Toyota Prado from Umarali Motors Limited for Kenya shillings 8.5 million. B. Another Kenya shillings 4 million was suspiciously transferred to Nicholas Maingi's account. A cash trail in the personal account revealed that upon receipt of the funds, Nicholas made a transfer of Kenya shillings 4,660,000 to Umarali Motors Limited on 21st March 2024. The purported payment to Umarali Motors Limited using two routes raises reasonable suspicion of corruption and money laundering. Further, Prior to receipt of the 2 payments from the Office of the Deputy President, the account was transacting in minimal accounts, raising suspicions that the entire transaction was a conduit used by His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua to siphon public funds. The payment scheme used typifies money laundering transactions. From the matters outlined in the preceding parts, it is patently clear that there are serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, using his state office, has committed gross economic crimes, namely conflict of interest, abuse of office, conspiracy to commit crimes under A. Sections 45(1)(a), 46, 47(a)(3), and 48(1) of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, and B. Sections 2, 3, 4, and 7 of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to count 7, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Ground 8, serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Section 132 of the Penal Code and Section 29 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has continuously misled members of the public through false, malicious, divisive, and insightful remarks that are contrary to the provisions of Section 132 of the Penal Code and Section 29 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. To illustrate, sometime in January 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua made a sensational but false accusation that Honorable Justice Esther Maina, Judge of the High Court of Kenya, had engaged in corruption. He publicly said he would present a petition for the removal of the said judge, which he has not done to date, leading to the inevitable conclusion that he knew his allegations were false. On or about 26th of June 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, recklessly and unmindful of the high calling and dignified status of the Office of the Deputy President of the Republic and his membership to the National Security Council, both being positions that require one to be a discreet and tempered leader, especially during moments of national crisis, addressed Kenyans on live television in Mombasa County and publicly made sensational statements against the National Intelligence Service, an essential national security organ, its director and officers. The following is an excerpt of part of his speech. I quote, "The Director General of the National Intelligence Service, Nurdin Haji, was a junior officer in the National Intelligence Service before he was appointed as DPP. When he was appointed to the office of the Director General, because of his inferiority complex, he chased away all the people who were senior to him when he was in the service, therefore crippling the capacity of that service and making it dysfunctional. 3 directors were chased away and reassigned to desk jobs in ministries across government. 13 assistant directors, men and women with proven track record of intelligence collection and analysis, were removed from the National Intelligence Service, leaving a shell and a clueless Director General who has no capacity to run the organization. And that is why the security sector was caught off guard by the intensity, the anger of the Kenyan people, the agitation of the Kenyan people, the resilience of the Kenyan people." End of quote. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to ground 8, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Part C, gross misconduct pursuant to Article 151(b)(3) of the Constitution. Ground 9, gross misconduct, that is public attacks on National Security Intelligence Service and its officers. The phrase gross misconduct generally refers to behavior that is, quote, very unpleasant, disgusting, or very rude. This is from the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. Therefore, public attacks against an essential national security organ in circumstances that require one to be discreet and tempered constitute gross misconduct. On or around 26th of June 2024, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, unmindful of the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya and his membership to the National Security Council, both being positions that require a leader to be discreet and tempered, especially during moments of national crisis, addressed Kenyans on live television in Mombasa County and made a scathing attack on the National Intelligence Service, an essential national security organ. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua extended the extremely reckless personal attacks to the Director General of the institution. With the unprecedented acts, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua acted in a manner that is incompatible with the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President and member of the Cabinet and the National Security Council. The attacks against the National Intelligence Service and its Director General constitute gross misconduct and an impeachable offense to the extent that A, they are incompatible with the high calling and dignified status of the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, B, they undermine national security from both internal and external points of view, C, they are incompatible with the effective discharge of the delicate and sensitive mandate of the National Intelligence Service, D, they had the potential, given the circumstances prevailing in the country at the time, to significantly diminish public confidence in the viability of the Kenyan state and its ability to protect the lives and properties of its citizens. E, they go against the constitutionally prescribed oath of allegiance of the office of the Deputy President under Article 148, 5A of the Constitution, which requires the Deputy President to obey, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and all other laws. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to ground 9, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Ground 10, gross misconduct, that is insubordination. As stated in ground 9, the phrase gross misconduct generally refers to behavior that is very unpleasant, disgusting, very rude. This is from the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. Therefore, open or public insubordination of the President, who is the head of state and government under our constitutional framework, is gross misconduct. As stated in the preceding parts, Article 147(1) of the Constitution designates the Deputy President as the principal assistant of the President, who shall deputize for the President in the execution of the President's functions. His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has persistently undermined, demeaned, and committed insubordination instead of assisting the President in executing the state executive mandate. Instead, he has opted to run a smear campaign against the Presidency for political expediency. Further, whereas Article 147(2) of the Constitution requires the Deputy President to perform the functions conferred by the Constitution and any other functions that the President may assign, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua is openly sabotaging the in agriculture, coffee, tea, sugar, and milk sectors, which the President tasked him to oversee. To illustrate, A, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has connived with cartels in the tea sector to block the Kenya Tea Development Agency from implementing guaranteed minimum returns that would benefit smallholder tea farmers. B, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has influenced his family members, allies, associates, and proxies to take control of a local cooperative society, name withheld in Madeira, which they are financially hemorrhaging. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to ground 10, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Ground 11, gross misconduct, that is bullying. As stated in ground 9, the phrase gross misconduct generally refers to behavior that is very unpleasant, disgusting, or very rude. This is from the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary. Section 34 of the Leadership and Integrity Act provides that a state officer shall not bully any person. Bullying includes repeated offensive behavior that is vindictive, cruel, malicious, or humiliating, and is intended to undermine a person. For the past 2 years, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has persistently bullied state and public officers. To illustrate, A, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua bullied Kenya Medical Supplies Agency officials into awarding a tender for the supply of mosquito nets to Crystal Limited, his proxy company. Crystal Limited has submitted a fake bid bond with the sole intention of fraudulently acquiring public property. B, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua routinely bullies public officers in national security organs whom he subjects to public attacks and humiliation. C, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua routinely summons procurement officers in ministries and state institutions and instructs them to direct the procurement of goods and services in a particular manner. D, in the presidency, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua identified public officers who he thinks stand in his way of creating dominance within government and political kingship, and he has severely threatened, intimidated, and harassed them. E, in 2023, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua used his position as a deputy president to intimidate public officers and a contractor to divert materials meant for the construction of the Kilifi-Malindi Road to tarmac a private road to Vipingo Beach Resort, a hotel associated with him. F, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua uses his constitutional power as deputy president solely to implement sectarian, parochial, and personal interests that seek to profit him. Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, how do you plead to ground 11? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
His Excellency the Deputy President, you may take your seat. Counsel for the for the National Assembly, you may proceed to respond to the objection that has been raised by Counsel for the Deputy President.
Perhaps, Mr. Speaker, sir, just before Council responds to my application, for efficiency and expediency, permit me also to bring to the attention one more application in respect to the documents that were served upon Deputy President. Mr. Speaker, sir, by a letter that you referred to, sent from the Speaker of the National Assembly to the Speaker of the Senate, the Speaker of the National Assembly did submit the documents that emanated from the National Assembly.
Counsel for the Deputy President, take your seat first. You'll have your moment.
Mr. Speaker, sir, if I could take a few moments this afternoon to respond to the preliminary objection that has been raised. I have 3 quick issues in response to that objection. Number 1, the Constitution of Kenya at Article 77 is the primary law that then speaks to restrictions on activities of state officers. In particular, Article 77(1) reads, "A full-time state officer shall not participate in any other gainful employment." Mr. Speaker, sir, that article introduces one critical variable: gainful employment. Mr. Speaker, sir, gainful employment has been defined within our laws. Specifically, Section 26 of the Leadership and Integrity Act has defined what would amount to gainful employment. If I may, Mr. Speaker, sir, Section 26(1) reads, subject to subsection 2, a state officer who is serving on a full-time basis shall not participate in any other gainful employment. It then proceeds at subsection 2 to say, in this section, gainful employment means work that a person can pursue and perform for money or other form of compensation or remuneration which is inherently incompatible with the responsibilities of the state office or which results in the impairment of a judgment of a state officer in the execution of the functions of a state office or results in a conflict of interest in terms of Section 16. And so to our response, there has been no assertion that learned senior counsel James Orengo, by representing a party before this House, has participated in gainful employment. In any case, what evidence has been tendered before this Honorable House to speak to that fact? Mr. Speaker, sir, that is a question that has also received judicial interpretation. If I may, in the election petition number 3 of 2013 filed in the High Court in Busia, a similar application was made, again objecting to the participation of the Honorable James Orengo Senior Counsel in the proceedings in that matter. The judge handling that case interpreted both Article 77 as read with Section 26 of the Leadership and Integrity Act and had this to say, at paragraph 28, that it had been argued that by representing a party in an election petition, the Honorable Senator would be compromising the political neutrality of his office. I would not agree. Section 23 of this Act is a provision on political neutrality expected of appointed state officers. Honorable Orengo holds an elective position. Elected members of Senate are politicians. The provisions of Section 23 do not apply to them. So even if it was to be assumed that, that by representing the third respondent, Honorable Orengo is pursuing a political agenda, that would not be inimical to his office as a member of the Senate. And so, Mr. Speaker, I submit that unless there is material that will be tabled before this House, that by appearing for a party before this House, then the Honorable Mr. James Orengo Senior Counsel would have engaged in gainful employment. That objection does not stand any merit. Number two, the second test that has been applied by courts is the test around conflict of interest. Again, Mr. Speaker, our courts have had occasion to interpret what amounts to conflict of interest. In a case determined by a 5-judge bench, a case reported in our laws, that is EKLR 2018, the case of Philomena Mbete Mwilu versus the DPP and two others, the bench, in determining and dismissing a similar application, defined conflict of interest as a situation where one is confronted by two different interests so that serving one interest would be against the other. Mr. Speaker, sir, there hasn't been any conflict of